Beneath the skin, a story waits. It is a language written not with ink, but with time itself. We have always felt the pull to mark our bodies, to etch our histories into our own flesh. This is not a fleeting trend, but an ancient echo, a primal whisper from the dawn of humanity. It is a ritual as old as fire, as fundamental as the need to belong. We look at the decorated skin of today and see art, rebellion, and personal expression. But to truly understand, we must journey back, far back, to a time when a mark on the skin was a pact with the gods, a shield against the unknown, and the very map of a soul. This is the hidden history of tattoos, a story of how we first inscribed our spirits onto our skin. The first marks were not born of vanity, but of necessity and spirit. Imagine the sting of a sharpened bone, the grit of ash and soot pressed into a wound. These were the first tools, humble yet profound. In the vast, silent landscapes of our ancestors, survival was a daily struggle, and the world was alive with unseen forces. A mark on the skin was a prayer, a form of protection. Hunters would bear the symbols of their prey, not as trophies, but as a plea for a successful hunt and a sign of respect for the spirit of the animal whose life they would take. Warriors would carry markings that spoke of their courage, each line a testament to a battle fought, a fear overcome. These were not mere decorations. They were living symbols, a way to anchor the ephemeral human experience to something permanent and powerful. The skin became the first canvas, the body the first temple, adorned with the sacred geometry of existence. These markings were a silent language, a visual symphony of identity and belonging. In a world without written words, the body told the story. A specific pattern on the cheek could declare your lineage, tracing your ancestry back through generations. A design spiraling down an arm could signify your role within the tribe. A healer, a leader, a storyteller. It was a passport, instantly recognizable to those who shared your culture, and a barrier to those who did not. To be marked was to be known, to be seen, to be part of the whole. For a young person coming of age, the process was a rite of passage, an ordeal of pain that transformed them from a child into an adult. The scars left behind were not imperfections. They were proof of endurance, a permanent declaration of their new status and responsibilities. The body became a living document, a genealogy, a social contract written in pigment and pain. Every line held a universe of meaning, every symbol a fragment of belief. The markings were a bridge between the physical and the spiritual, a way to make the invisible visible. Spirals might represent the cycle of life, death, and rebirth, mirroring the journey of the sun or the coiling of a serpent. Straight, angular lines could invoke strength and stability, grounding the individual to the earth. For shamans and healers, tattoos were conduits of power, channels through which they could communicate with spirits, ward off disease, or mend a broken bone. The symbols were believed to hold talismanic properties, offering protection from evil spirits or guidance in the afterlife. The pain of the process was itself a crucial part of the ritual, a sacrifice that consecrated the mark and infused it with sacred energy. It was a deeply intimate act, a physical manifestation of faith, transforming the skin into a shield and the body into an altar. From these sacred origins, the art has flowed like a river through civilizations, changing and adapting, yet never losing its core essence. It traveled with sailors across vast oceans, their skin a logbook of ports called and storms weathered. It was adopted by soldiers as emblems of brotherhood and survival, and driven into the shadows by societies that feared its primal power. But it could not be erased. The instinct to mark oneself is too deeply woven into our human fabric. Today, we see its global resurgence, a kaleidoscope of styles and intentions. A flower on a wrist may not be a plea to a harvest god, but it is still a symbol of beauty and growth. A quote across a back may not be a tribal law, but it is still a declaration of personal creed. What was once a pact with the divine has become a pact with the self. The tools have changed from bone to steel, the pigments from soot to vibrant ink, but the fundamental impulse remains the same. We are still telling stories of courage, of belonging, of healing, and of belief. We are still mapping our inner worlds onto our outer selves, making the invisible spirit visible, one mark at a time. The story, written in skin and spirit, continues.